discussed what is data, what are the types of data, and methods of collecting data. So as the statistics involves 3 steps: collection of data, analysis of data, and interpretation of data. The first step in the analysis, statistics analysis is over, means it involves statistical analysis involves 3 part: collection of data, analysis of data, and interpretation of data. So here we have discussed, in the first step we have already discussed how many types of data we have and how to collect the data, as primary and secondary are the types of data and different methods of collecting data. In the second step we are going to analyze the data. So once the data is collected, I think we have different methods of collecting data, like questionnaire method and schedule and all the different methods of collecting data. Once the data is collected, I think it is not ready for analyzing the data, means the data there appears in raw form. So if you collect the questionnaires data in the form of questionnaire, I think the data is in itself in the raw form. So the data collected up to now is in the form of raw or ungrouped data. The data so collected is called raw or ungrouped data. So such data is not ready to is not ready for analysis. You need to process the data before analyzing the data. So to use any statistical techniques to the collected data, first of all you should decode, or you should arrange them, you should classify them into grouped data. So what are the different steps in analyzing the data? So once the data is collected, so what are the various steps that you can do before analysis is nothing but identifying data structures, editing data, I'll explain all this, editing data, coding and classifying, transcription and tabulation of data. This is in your page number 1019. So once the data is collected, as I said you, it is not directly used by the analyst to make the particular analysis. First of all, you should identify the data structures, means you should identify the basic data in each form it is. It is in the questionnaire form or schedule form. So after identifying this, you should go for editing of data. So I'll give you a simple example. If you are collecting data through questionnaire, once the data is collected through questionnaire, let us say that the questionnaire consists of 20 questions, and by mistake in one of the questionnaire you found that some of the answers to the questions are missing. So you are going to make the editing, maybe any wrong option chosen by the investigator, then you are going to edit the data. So in the first step you make some editing to the data, and after editing the data, then you are going to coding or decoding. So as I said you, the best example you can consider is nothing but questionnaire. If the questionnaire consists of, I think opinions like what is your opinion on that so and so product or so and so party, then you will have options like A, B, C, D. I think all the answers you are going to get in the form of A's, B's or yes or no. I think that data cannot be analyzed by any computer, or no other techniques are available for analyzing such type of data. So you should make a coding like this: 1S for 1, okay, no for like 2. Similarly, you should give numerical symbols to the options which you have listed in your questionnaire, means coding should be done. After coding the data, I think all the data appears in the form of 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 0, something like that, whatever coding you are using. even that data is not ready to use. So better you go for another step which is called classification. So let us say you have 20 questionnaires, okay, and 20 questionnaires. In each of the questionnaire you have 20 questions. Then each question, let us say the first question has, you are given the coding like 1 2 3 4. For the second question you are given the coding like 1 2. So I think while coding the data, you'll get the options like 1 2 3. So then you need to frame, you need to classify them. How many ones are there for first question, how many twos are there for second question. So you should go for classification of the data. So that classification should be done. After the classification is done, you should go for tabulation. What do you mean by tabulation? You should use like class interval, like tally marks. You know, I think you did in the very junior levels. Now, tally marks and number of or frequency means, say that the same example, you have 20 questionnaires where each questionnaire consists of 20 questions with different options. Then you are going to make the entire data. What you did coding in the first, you made editing. After editing the data, you went for coding. What do you mean by coding? You are converting entire data into numerals, like 1 2 3 4 or 1 0 or 0 1 2 3, like that. You have made the coding. After coding, you have divided, you have classified the data into number, how many ones are there, how many twos are there for a particular question. Thereafter, you are going to formulate the entire data in a table which is called the frequency distribution. Let us say that how many persons are there in the age group 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50. So you will get this is the classification means, and you have done the second, you are in the second step, analysis of the data. For that, the data which is in the form of questionnaires or schedules, by following different steps, you have obtained a form of a table of the data which is called the frequency distribution. I think whenever you in the degree levels you have did QT paper, calculate mean for the following data, you will be given a class interval and frequency table which is called the frequency distribution. This data is not directly obtained to you once the data is collected. After collecting the data, it undergoes certain steps like editing of data, coding of data, classification of data and tabulation. At the end, you will get a final form of the data which is called frequency distribution. Means in the second step, before analyzing data, just we have converted the obtained data in raw form to the group distribution or frequency distribution. Once this data is ready, then you will go for the statistical analysis. Statistical analysis. Let us see what is statistical analysis and what are the different types of statistical analysis you have. You have basically two types of statistical data, which is nothing but descriptive analysis of the data, descriptive statistical analysis of the data, and inferential analysis. So once the data is collected, the data is processed to represent in the form of frequency distribution, then you are going to statistical analysis. You have two types of statistical analysis there. One is descriptive statistical analysis and inferential statistical analysis. So in this semester, we are going to deal with only descriptive statistical analysis. In the next semester, you are going to concentrate on inferential statistical analysis. Under descriptive analysis, you know different measures for this. We are going to use measures of central tendency, measures of central tendency. This is one tool for performing the descriptive statistical analysis. Measures of variation, correlation and regression, okay, correlation and regression, time series and index numbers. I think these terms you have heard, I think, in your graduation level. Now under statistical analysis we are going to deal one by one. Under descriptive analysis we are going to use measures of measures of central tendency, measures of dispersion, correlation analysis, time series and index numbers. So let us discuss the different measures of central tendency. So what is measures of central tendency? Measures of central tendency is nothing but what do you mean by central tendency? So whenever we have either grouped data or ungrouped data, I think if you are given with a frequency distribution with class interval and frequency, okay, so every time you cannot carry the entire data to draw a conclusion about that. Let us say that Ci indicates the marks. You are given marks and number of students. 0 to 10, 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40 in a slip test. So these are the numbers. So in the range of 0 to 10, there are 4 students who got these marks. There are 5 students who got 10 to 20 marks. There are 7 students who got marks in between 20 to 30. There are 9 students who got marks in between 30 to 40. This is the data you have obtained after doing a survey on the number of marks conducted in a class. Now to draw conclusion about, or if you want to draw a conclusion about this, we are going to use a word called average marks of the class. Average marks of that particular class means average is nothing but you have these many data or these many class intervals and frequencies, but instead to represent the entire data with a single value, we are going to use the word called average. Means if I write 25 is the average marks for the class, it indicates that there are many students who got marks nearer to 25, means maybe plus 2-3 marks near to 25 or 2-3 marks far above from 25. Means measures of central tendency is nothing but it is a single value with which the entire data is going to be represented. Whenever I think you are given with 40, there are 40 students in a class and the marks of all the 40 students are noted. If you want to represent, if I want to conclude about the marks of the student, I say that the average marks of these 40 students is 30, which indicates that the total number of students in the class are more or less, they got around 30, means all the students are very nearer to 30, means many students who got 28, who got 32. Means measures of central tendency is nothing but it is a single value with which the entire data is going to be represented. So we have different measures of central tendency here: mean, median, mode, or the different measures of central tendency. So depending upon the data for one, depending upon the given data, sometimes we use mean, sometimes we use median, sometimes we go for calculation of mode. So I think you know how to calculate mean, median, mode. So these are the different measures of central tendency. The next one is nothing but, the next measure in descriptive analysis is nothing but, the next measure in descriptive statistics is nothing but measures of dispersion or variation. Dispersion or variation. Measures of dispersion or variation. So if you are given, I think statistics or quantitative techniques deals with not 2 or 3 observation, always it involves a number of observations. If you are given with 2 numbers, okay, only 2. So variation, what do you mean by the term variation? Variation is nothing but the change or the difference. These are the meanings for variance. If we are given with two numbers, so what is the variation between them means, you will say the difference of these two observations is 10. Means whenever you have two observations or exactly two numbers, to talk about the variation in between them, we use subtraction, or the difference of those two is nothing but the variation between them. Whenever you are given more than two observations, let us say these are the observations you got after doing a survey. So if you want to know about the deviations between these two observations, you cannot take these two differences, these two and all. Means whenever we have exactly two observations or two values, the variation between them can be easily measured by using subtraction. Whenever you have more number of observations, the variation between them cannot be measured by subtraction. Then to study the variations between these many number of observations, we are going to use measures of dispersion. We have two measures of dispersion. What are those? Means absolute measures of dispersion, absolute measures of dispersion, and relative measures of dispersion. Relative measures of dispersion. So under absolute measures of dispersion, you have range, quartile deviation, quartile deviation, mean deviation and standard deviation. These are the different measures of absolute measures of dispersion. So what are the relative measures of dispersion? Means the same with coefficient of range, coefficient of quartile deviation, coefficient of mean deviation and coefficient of standard deviation. So measures of dispersion is nothing but is a measure that describes how the values are scattered. Means it is a measure of spread. The measures of central tendency just gives the center of the distribution, but they do not reveal how the items are spread on the either side of the center. Means measures of central tendency just gives a middle value or the center value of the distribution. It doesn't give how many observations are beyond these left hand, how many are on the either side of this center value. Means it doesn't give any spread of the value, where measures of dispersion gives the scatteredness or spread of the data. So the difference or variation among these values, or the degree of variation can be evaluated by measures of dispersion. We have two measures of dispersion: absolute measure of dispersion and relative measure of dispersion. Under absolute measure of dispersion, we have range, quartile deviation, mean deviation, standard deviation. Under relative measure of dispersion, we have we have coefficient of range, coefficient of standard deviation, coefficient of mean deviation and coefficient of standard deviation. So these are the two measures under descriptive statistics. And also we have correlation and regression. I think these topics also you have little bit idea. Let us discuss the third measure of descriptive statistics. Correlation. You know that name itself tells that this is nothing but correlation. Okay. Whenever we have more than two variables, whenever you go to the case of two or more than two variables, if there exists a covariation between them. So what do you mean by covariation? There are two variables here. If you make changes in one variable, if you observe the corresponding changes in the other variable also, we say that these two variables are correlated. Covariation means, if I take the best example, this has rainfall and this has yield. I think a considerable changes in rainfall is going to affect the yield of the crop. Similarly, if I take income and expenditure, if I think with respect to changes in income, the expenditure is also going to change. Means here some of the examples for two variables where the change in one variable is producing the corresponding change in the other variable. We in this case we say that the two variables are correlated. We can see the same with more than two variables also. If we observe that if we have more than two variables, we call that as multivariate distribution, and the changes in one variable, it produces the changes in the more than two variables, we say that as multiple correlation. Means the correlation between exactly two variables is called correlation. Correlation between more than two variables is called the multiple correlation. Generally we have two measures of measuring correlation. Two measures for measuring correlation. So what are the two measures? Means we have scatter diagram and Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. Coefficient of correlation. So what is scatter diagram? So scatter diagram is used when there are exactly two variables only. So under scatter diagram you are going to consider a bivariate axis with one of the variable on x-axis and other variable on y-axis. After plotting data, whenever we observe that a straight line, after plotting the data, if we observe that the data obtained shows a straight line, we say that I'll tell you what is perfect correlation. There is a perfect positive correlation between the data. Whenever we observe a straight line in this downwards, we say that perfect negative correlation in the data. Otherwise, if the points are scattered if the points are very close to each other, we say that there is a high degree of correlation between the two variables. Whenever the points are very far from each other, we say that there is a low degree of correlation. So, for measuring correlation, we have two measures which are called scatter diagram and Karl Pearson's coefficient of correlation. Under scatter diagram, it is a simple measure of measuring correlation where the two variables are plotted on a bivariate axis. Depending upon the curve or the straight line so obtained, we are going to draw the conclusions. Generally, we observe that it may be straight line in this direction or straight line in this direction. If it is away from the origin, we say that perfect positive correlation. It shows a perfect negative correlation. When the points are very close to each other, we expect a high degree of correlation. Whenever the points are far away from each other, we expect a low degree of correlation. Okay, these are the some points from correlation. Let us discuss in the next class. Thank you.